Killing is not supposed to be because the cops can't even have a weapon, but he took this guy out of a cryovac state so he could turn around and have somebody he doesn't like killed. You understand? The ruling class and the elitists are allowed to do that. We're not allowed to do that. Okay, if somebody's hurting us, we just got to stay there and take it. Like Sharon Worley with this guy, Gabriel. Is he supposed to just stand there and take it? Somebody's got to make a stand, and he's doing it. But in the movie Demolition Man, it all turns out that he wanted to get rid of these people so he could proceed in having the utopia that he created. Now, that's a word that we haven't heard in decades. But in the 60s, you know, all these college students that were being taught by these communist progressives in 68 and from 65 to like 75, and they turn around and now they don't wait to get to college. They turn around and do this in grammar school. Elementary school is what they call it. They're indoctrinating the students, the children, in elementary school because they don't want to wait to have to do masses, and if they don't go to college they won't be able to do that. So, you know, it's very interesting because the progressives, if you watch a lot of movies, the progressives are telling you what they're going to do to you, and we're taking it as entertainment, but I don't. I take what they're telling me in a movie, even if it's science fiction. This is what they want to do. I mean, somebody wrote a book, The Brave New World, and another book, 1984. And the things that they were talking about, the Ministry of Truth. And I call Sharon Worley the Minister of Truth because what she says goes. But all these people that are trying to promote their way of doing things are turning around, and the movies are telling you what they're going to do to you. Now, all these people that write these books and movies, they're not these brilliant people that just pulled this out of the air. You don't think the book 1984 and Brave New World, somebody knew people who were controlling things that said where they were going to take us, and he put it on paper, and we read it as a fictional novel. But it's not. It's what they really want to do. Now, somebody out there is probably saying, this guy really lost his marbles today. But I'm telling you, if you do the research, and I have people that do research for me, this is what's going on. If you look at even Star Wars, okay, now Star Wars came out, well, you're a Star Wars fan, when did that come out? 78? 78. Now there's things in there that if you listen to wording, it's what they're really trying to do today. And they made a futuristic science fiction movie about it. But it's what they really want to do. George Bernard Shaw was a playwright. Oh, he wrote some great stuff, and they thought he was a great, nice man. I have video, and I'm going to try to get it because it's on VHS. I have video of him making different faces and explaining to people, well, I could look like Mussolini and be mad all the time. And he made a horrible looking face. And then he said, I can make a happy face. And then as he's talking about this, I'm cutting things short because it was a long video. He's talking about people going to doctors. Now you're talking about, this is a guy from the 1930s and 40s. He's talking about people going to a doctor every 5 years, and the doctor would ask them, are you doing something for your community? Are you doing something for your government? If not, do you feel that you should be put to sleep because you no longer have value to the government? This is a playwright, George Bernard Shaw. And it's his words. He's right there saying it. I'm watching this and I'm like, wait a second, I got to rewind this. This can't be. Yeah, he was talking about that decades ago, about you're not a, well, they didn't say tax-paying unit, they say that now. If you're not a tax-paying unit, you're not contributing, well, maybe you should take a dirt nap. Okay, so this has been going on for a long time. What did I just turn around and tell you? The progressive movement started in 1913. He was a playwright decades ago. So this is what they're thinking about. They just have the courage now to tell you. Look at the video on I have a video up there about there's women now that are not going to have children because they think that it's going to be a burden to society to have children. Or will there be the resources for them to have children? You know, so what did I say before? 40 years ago, Ted Turner. The 90% of the population are wasting our resources. Now you have young women in their 20s and 30s talking about not having children because they don't want to be a burden to society and use up resources. Do you see how long they have been working on this? It's been going on for decades and decades. We're going to take a break and we'll be right back.
Support for KPFF comes from B&P Dirt Work. B&P Dirt Work offers full-purpose backhoe for driveways, fifth wheel pads, digging trenches, clearing lots and fields, and
if you stop coughing, we won't get into it. It's no problem.
And happy to work for you. More information at 702-540-0960.
It might be, these are, what do you call it? Creosote. These are creosote.
All statements heard on this station are that of the program hosts, co-hosts,
we usually
and
do that
callers
twice.
alone, and are not necessarily those of this station or its affiliates.
First to mention.
Hello, this is LD, Lazy Dog Michael John. I'm going to host a show Sunday evenings at 7 p.m. called Lazy Dog's Front Porch. Why don't you come on by, crawl up on the porch, pull up a chair, and join me. We're going to have a good time. We're going to chat about this,
which is Godfather
that, everything else. We might even become interesting. We'll just see where it goes. Sunday night, 7 p.m. on
him personally
KPFF.
too.
Hello, listeners. Want to know what talk programs are broadcast by KPFF? The KPFF program guide is now on our Frump Film Festival website. If you want to see what's coming up this week on KPFF, just go to www.frumpfilmfestival.org. As programs are added or changed, so will the guide. That's www.frumpfilmfestival.org.
Yeah, I told you about watching that video.
For the best talk programs in Pahrump.
This is White Willie here. You know me from
When something
Friday
pops into my
night,
head, I
7 to
sit
8
down
on
and write it down.
KPFF
And then when I'm done
97.7
with it, I
with the
just-
White Willie Show. But guess what? I also have a Monday night show from 7 to 8 o'clock every Monday. New program, new information for you, the listener. So tune into the Dwight Willie Show Fridays and Monday at 7 p.m.
on KPFF Pahrump.
This is 97.7, Pahrump's community radio station.
And welcome back.
Support for our KPFF is brought to you in part by Pure Communications, an internet service provider to Pahrump and surrounding communities. For information, contact Pure Communications at 702-628-5662. Our call-in number is 775-751-2579. And at Coyote Den and Big Dick's Pizza presents the 4th Annual Car and Bike Show, May 18th, 2019. Registration begins at 7 a.m. Breakfast is available at 7 a.m. with lunch following at 11 a.m. Registration forms available at Coyote's Den, 3971 East Kellogg. Please call Sue at 702-503-8996.
Thank you very I think I got you cough. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Okay, so we were talking about different things. Now, I want to swing into Judge Lane. He's coming up for election in 2020. And people are saying he's not going to run. We have a caller? Go ahead, caller.
Well,
Hey, what's cooking?
you're right about this. You know, like 1984, the movie, it was so precise that so many years before things really happened that way, they were calling it. They're predicting it. They have a clue. They actually do. You know, right now, with all the licensing and restrictions on every aspect of our life, it almost makes it impossible to survive unless you jump through every hoop sentence.
Mm-hmm.
And take the DMV, for example. I mean, they control our whole lives, the DMV. You've got to be careful in everything you do. As far as Sharon Worley, I'm going to read from the Declaration of Independence, substituting she for he. She has sent swarms of agents to eat out our substance, because that's what she's doing with these motorcycle cops and these citations. They're looting the people, especially the old timers. They can't afford this. I'm in court virtually every day. This is a dark day, nothing happens. And I'm seeing these people nervous about touching a white line with a tire, because it's a $195 fine. They don't want to see a judge, and they don't know what to do. And it's like revenue enhancement to the nth degree right here. And this is what's going on. And it shouldn't be this way. Anything you do now, you need a permit. You got to get permission. You got to get a license. It wasn't that way when I was growing up, but somehow it's changed. And like you say, what you saw in this Demolition Man, is that what the name of the movie was?
Yes.
What you saw in there is a prediction to what's going to be going on. So that's what I have to say there.
Yeah.
Of course, Amy had called in earlier and said about court tomorrow. It's a big day in front of Judge Lane. There'll be a lot of sentencing. Diane Davis is up. Barry Dempler is up. This Wynn is on a calendar phone. They're going to have a jury draw on the TV. They made it seem like they're going to pick the jurors. They won't pick the jurors. They're just going to they get a computer button. When Louis Buchanan was up to bat on his trial, we went for this jury draw. And all they do is they hit a button and it pulls up arbitrarily a bunch of names. And those are the people that they're going to give a letter to show up to the jury. There's going to be 100 juries drawn on this one here. And as far as Gabriel, I mean, he's getting screwed around like crazy. I sat through this. The judge involved is from Louisiana, and his name is Estes. And I know the guy for quite a while because he comes in for these other cases. I asked him one time, I said, how was it that you were able to come here? Evidently, he was a district court judge in Nevada at some point in time.
Okay.
So he retired in Louisiana, and when he got these special hearings, like Lane and Worley cannot hear this one because they don't want to get involved between the sheriff and some guy who's getting literally trespassed off his own property, because that's what they're doing. They're taking a part of his property and saying, okay, it's ours now.
I saw the video today. They had her grandson got out of the vehicle and tore the signs out of the ground and threw them over the fence. I watched the video. Why would you have you're the top law enforcement person in the county, and you're having your grandson vandalize somebody's property? I don't get it.
Well, Estes had said, because I sat through these hearings, he said, why don't you work out some kind of financial arrangement where she will sign a statement, she'll pay you so much money to cross the property. But first of all, Gabriel doesn't want that, but she doesn't want to pay the money either. She just thinks it's a freebie.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what's going on.
Yeah.
So I don't know when he's going to be back. He was reluctant. He says, I hope you guys settle it because he's going to have to make some decision and weigh all the evidence back and forth. But, I mean, people who are not familiar with this is the sheriff has been crossing a piece of property for some years. She has no easement to that. She has different access to her own property. And this fella, Gabriel, bought the property that she's been crossing, and he tried to block it off, and she won't let him. She's saying, no, I have this easement, and there's no easement been established according to everything you see, Anthony, and everything I've heard.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on.
Yeah, I would not say that she didn't have an easement I looked at the maps. I looked at everything, and now I'm watching a video. I mean, it's ridiculous that they're doing this to this man. It's not right. He's a retired guy. He's a legitimate person. And it's funny because Sharon used to work up at the test site, security. She could have known this guy from there because he worked up there for years. So, if she was in security up there, security's supposed to know everybody. It doesn't make a difference if there's 2 people or 2,000 people. You're supposed to know everybody by sight, or at least that you know the name, because all that documentation's in front of you all the time. I mean, when I was working security in Vegas, I'd have 70 guys under me, and I knew everybody's name. I knew what they looked like that was working for me. I knew all the bosses of every casino on the strip, because that's your job. If you don't have a memory for it, don't do it.
Well, the job has gone to her head. That's what I see. From the get-go, I wasn't sure how it would go. And then when I saw what was going on, and when I saw all these people waiting in line on a Monday morning, this big line of people who pay traffic tickets, I didn't understand. I started talking to them, and they said these motorcycle cops are just ticketing, and we're afraid to see a judge, and we're just going to pay the $195. And I said, no. So now it's completely out of control. And who knows how much farther it's going to go also. I mean, if they're able to do that to the citizens that are not really, it's not egregious driving, it's not something that's dangerous, it's just these minor infractions, and they're going to the hilt to try to get every dollar out of everybody. And anybody who doubts what I'm saying, just sit in on these courts sometimes. I've been doing it for 17 years. Sometimes I get pretty depressed because I see very little justice in our justice system. And you're aware of that, Anthony, because of what happened to you.
Mm-hmm.
You served some tough time for something that you should not have. And that's what the system is all about. It's there to punish. And they're going to punish you financially, or they're going to punish you with jail, unless you want to jump through the hoops for them and make them happy.
Right, but now I have 2 government agencies that said that Lane was wrong. The appellate court in the state, and now the Commission on Judicial Discipline said, I got a letter, and we might read it later, that he made a legal error. But then they're going to dismiss my complaint because they want me to go back up to the appellate court. Because actually Lane is in contempt of court in the appellate court. Twice. So how could he still be a judge?
Well, not many people would go to the mat like you have pursuing something. Most people just cave. I see it all the time. And I don't know how tough I am, because when I was up for 25 days contempt of court, I didn't cave, but boy, I tell you, it made me pretty nervous. That was over the Tigers, because we saved the Tigers.
Right.
So, we're always in jeopardy when you got somebody with a badge and or a gavel that could change your whole life, So yeah. I applaud you for what you're doing and for what you have done. And I mean, you really did the time. It's just not funny.
Well, you know what? I can't sit here for 6 years and tell people to stand up for themselves, and then I'm going to cave. Can't do it.
That's right.
That means I lied to everybody for 6 years. So you have to reap what you sow, I guess. I don't know. You have to turn around and just, if this is what I believe, I cannot back down.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. You're really helping like Paul Miller out. What you're doing for him is exceptional, because Paul Miller is not the easiest guy in the world to get along with. And that what you're doing for him, it's great. I just hope that he doesn't get to you where we get so annoyed that you change.
No, he's fine.
I congratulate you on that.
He's fine.
I accept Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. Keep His faith, power to people. Thank God we saved the Tigers 4 times, and I'm wishing all the moms out there happy Mother's Day. Health and peace of mind to you all. Straight up flag and over and out.
Thanks, Ray. So, yeah, so these people are going to be coming up in front of Lane tomorrow. Now, Lane, he's been a judge since 2000, and he comes up for election again in 2020. I'm hoping that he doesn't run again. People are telling me he's not going to, but we're going to make sure we keep people knowing what's going on with Lane. Now, you want to see how this guy acts, you should go down to the courthouse tomorrow. As soon as you walk in the front door, straight ahead is his courtroom, and see how he's going to treat the people in that courtroom. You need to see it for yourself. And if that courtroom keeps getting filled up every day with people paying attention, he's going to have to stop being an animal and abusing his power. The man is, listen, the man is sick, okay? He enjoys putting people in prison more than sex. I'm telling you, he's demented. He loves doing it. I mean, I've watched him. The day he incarcerated me, he gave the guy in front of me 2 life sentences. 2 life sentences without the possibility of parole. Okay, the court threw one of the higher courts threw one of the sentences out. But now the guy's going to have to still fight. He's 35 years old. He's not going to last. I'm telling you, there's certain people, they get in there, they just fall apart. If they do get out, they're not going to be useful to anybody. It's just the way the system is working. It's bad. Especially if you get somebody that has to go to Ely. Ely's a 3-ring circus. I mean, that's like, it's like just a battleground. I've talked to people that are up there. It's crazy. Now, most of the places are not, to me, it wasn't that bad. Okay? Because I know how to adapt and survive. A person who is in prison for the first time, they call him a fish. That's why when you first go in, they throw you in a fish tank. Okay, but they call him a fish. And I had a guy, young kid, not kid, 47 years old, younger than me, and he was in prison for 27 years of his life, on and off. And he turned around and said to me, I cannot believe that this is your first time. You get along with everybody here. Nobody gives you a hard time. I said, because I won't allow it. I'm not going to be intimidated by anything. It's just the way it is. And if you stand up for yourself, they will not bother you. It's that simple. They'll be friendly with you. I mean, I had all races, gang bangers, everything, wanting to get me coffee and everything, because I didn't know how the system worked when I first got in there. I didn't know how commissary worked or anything. I had gang bangers making coffee for me. Okay, and giving me coffee because I was OG. I was the old gangster. That's what they used to call me. And they laughed because they looked at my tattoos. So I didn't enjoy myself there, let's put it that way, but it wasn't as bad as dealing with Judge Lane himself. The gangsters, the gangbangers, the dope dealers, the pimps, the gay prostitutes were more honorable than Judge Robert Lane. He has 0 honor. He is sick, demented. And there's a lot of things that I could tell you about him I can't say on the radio because I don't want to involve his family. But there are family members that he has that are scared to death of him. He has to be abusive to see a family member be that scared of him. Okay? Wake up. Pay attention to what's going on around you, because you know what? You don't have to have a doctrine in psychology. You could read people. You could read children. You could read women when they're in a bad situation. They can't help, they can't avoid showing it. They'll never say it, but they can't avoid showing it. I think he should be taken off the bench. I'm praying that people don't vote for him, because his next job is when Satan retires.